Hello, beautiful souls. I'm going to be channeling this question to Gaia, Mother Earth. The question that has been asked is Pachamama healing during this time of human isolation, human restraining of activity? And so let's tune in to beautiful Pachamama, Mother Earth, and hear what wisdom she has to share. My precious children, what I want you to understand is that, of course, there will be healing when the suspension of toxic activity occurs. This will always be the case. This will not only be the case within the ecology and within the environmental situations, but it will also be the case when you suspend your toxic activity within your own minds, within your own families, within your own homes. And so while many of you are finding yourselves to be stretched quite thin in terms of your patience and perhaps your tolerance for others who share your home space, it is true that I am stretched quite thin indeed, quite thin indeed, with my ability to tolerate the activities that create such immense, intense, overwhelming destruction. And yet they continue to, in this moment, to this day, on and on, every day. Very little has been suspended in terms of this, even during time of isolation, even during time of distancing or quarantine or whatever you wish to call it. It is continuing on, these destructive patterns, these destructive beliefs, these destructive behaviors. And so what to do? What am I to do? I only have the ability to self-repair when there is suspension of such toxic thoughts, beliefs, actions, behaviors, etc. And so you might say, and it would be very accurate to say, that I have been brought to my knees. And I can assure you that I cannot continue on in the way of generosity, in the way of full support, if humanity continues on in the way of toxicity, in the way of divisiveness, in the way of scarce thinking, in the way of overconsumption, in the way of mine as the refrain. And so I ask you to attune to me more regularly, and I cannot offer a more simple process to do so. I ask that you simply get out and plant your feet upon me. I ask that you open your arms wide. I ask that you feel the warmth of the sun on your face, on your back, on the top of your head. I ask that you allow for the magic of the clouds moving by to entertain you, to engage you. I ask that you listen, attune your auditory systems quite carefully to the songs that I sing for you each and every day through my menagerie, through my orchestra of animals, of insects, of winged creatures and beings, of all creatures. Listen. Won't you listen? Won't you stop and still a bit and listen? Won't you allow for it to touch you very deeply within? Won't you recognize what it would feel like to be in total silence? Won't you remember what it feels like to be in true and complete death and annihilation? For this is what is at risk. It is not just at risk, it is in process. I cannot tell you more clearly that it is in process, that my death, which is ultimately your death, is in process. We are heading down that very fast, slippery slope, and I am asking you not just to pull back, not just to consider other options, but to absolutely apply the brakes. Stop yourself, still yourself in your tracks, and say, what must I do today? For there must be several actions in each day of each of your lives that you are taking on behalf of me. It is no longer new information to understand that your trash production must decrease. It is no longer new information to understand that your fuel consumption must decrease and eventually become obsolete. It is no longer new information for you to understand that you have a responsibility and a role to replant me, to reforest me, to refurbish me with health and with well-being and the opportunity to continue to serve. This is something you all must understand in your own ways, and then challenge yourselves to do things differently. There's so much, so very much that can be done on a daily basis, and I have been awaiting. I have been quietly, patiently, lovingly serving and serving and serving, and it is time now for you to step up in your own service, in your service to you, in your service to your loved ones, in your family, in your service to me, and ultimately in your service to all life. What will it be? Will you choose me? Will you choose life? Will you choose you? It is my deepest hope that you do, for without your commitment to that, we cannot be. None of us can be.